two competing narratives. The followers of Jewish Messiah Yeshua and the followers of the rabbis who rejected this Messiah. Both see their roots and authority in the Hebrew scriptures. Discover Yeshua in the Rabbinic text. So, Oren, you wanted to ask me something about Passover, Pesach?
Yeah, so it's clear that in the New Testament we see that Jesus was crucified on the evening of Passover and then rose again. But, I wonder is there any connection between the Messiah and Passover in the rabbinic literature?
So you're absolutely right that the New Testament is clear that Yeshua was crucified in Passover Eve. But you would be surprised that even the Talmud reinforces that. And I want you to tell us, what does the Talmud in Tractate Sanhedrin says exactly about this topic, the crucifixion or the execution of Yeshua?
So I'm translating it from the Hebrew, and it says here that on the evening of Passover, they hanged Jesus, or Yeshua, right?
Yep. So we have an external evidence, testimony outside of the New Testament that says that Yeshua was crucified or hanged, they say, on Passover Eve.
Wow. But it's obvious that they didn't think of Yeshua as the Messiah. But is there any connection between Messiah and Passover and what they think?
Yeah, so why did Yeshua have to, why was he crucified on Passover? Why Passover and not a different holiday? So in the Talmud, and I want you to read now from, or tell us what it says in Tractate Rosh Hashanah, another tractate from the Talmud. What does it say there about the redemption? What's the connection between the redemption and the first month of the Hebrew year, the month of Nisan, Passover?
Yes, so one of the words that one of the rabbis, Rabbi Yosha, is saying there that in the month of Nisan, and that was the month that
of
Passover when the nation of Israel went out of Egypt, he says there that on that month was the first redemption.
Yes.
So the last redemption will be the same thing on that month.
So Rabbi Joshua is saying the first redemption was in Nisan, in the month of Nisan, the month of Passover. That's why he's saying the last redemption, the redemption by the Messiah, must also be on the first month of the year, of the Hebrew calendar, the month of Nisan, the month of Passover.
Wow, that means that the sages also connected between the story of Egypt and what happened there to the redemption of the Messiah, right?
And that's exactly also what the New Testament does. Yes, so the New Testament also compares the first exodus from Egypt to Yeshua in a unique way. And I want you to read from John 8, this is the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verses 31 to 36, and we'll see how Yeshua himself is comparing the first exodus and the liberation of Israel to the liberation that he gives, the freedom that he offers.
Yeah, so I'm reading. So Jesus was saying to those Jews who had believed him, "If you continue in my word, then you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." They answered him, "We're Abraham's descendants and have never been enslaved to anyone. How is it that you say you will become free?" Jesus answered them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, everyone who commits sin is a slave of sin. Now the slave does not remain in the house forever. The Son does remain forever. So if the Son sets you free, you really will be free."
So what Yeshua is doing, again, he's comparing the first redemption to the last redemption that would be by, he said, only I can give you true freedom. You were freed. Maybe you're free now. You're free from Egypt, but you're not free from sin. I will give you the true exodus, the true freedom from sin, and only then you will be free indeed.
Wow, now I understand why the Messiah had to be crucified or die on the evening of Passover. Yeah, and I wonder, we see how Yeshua was crucified and rose again, but I wonder if the rabbinic literature said something about Messiah that needs to suffer.
Suffering Messiah in rabbinic literature?
Exactly. Yeah, so in the New Testament, we see very clearly that the Messiah was suffering, and I wonder if also in the rabbinic literature they say something about the suffering Messiah.
Yeah, so you're saying, of course, the New Testament portrays a Messiah that came to to suffer and even die for the sins of the world. And there's so many rabbinic references to a suffering Messiah that we don't have time to go over all of them. But I want to show you at least three passages from rabbinic literature that talks about a suffering Messiah. First, I want you to tell us, what does Midrash Tanchuma, a rabbinic commentary, a rabbinic ancient commentary, what does Midrash Tanchuma say about this subject?
So yeah, they're quoting from Zechariah 4 verse 7, and they say that this is Messiah, son of David, and that he will be exalted more than Abraham, more than Isaac, and more than anyone else, because, and they refer to Isaiah 52:13, and they say, it says there that, behold, my servant will prosper, he will be high and lifted up and greatly exalted, because he was suffering, right?
Yep, so this Midrash is quoting Isaiah 52:13, and they're saying this is a messianic prophecy, and we know that Isaiah 52:13 is connected to Isaiah 53 that talks about the suffering Messiah. And they say there, as you said in the Midrash, they say this is the Messiah, this is Messiah, son of David, which will be exalted, but first he must suffer. Now, I want you to tell us, how did the Aramaic translation to the Bible, to the Old Testament, how did the Aramaic treat Isaiah 52? How did they translate the Hebrew to Aramaic? And this is a rabbinic translation in Isaiah 52:13.
Yeah, so if I'm translating the Aramaic to English, it says, behold, my servant, the Messiah, will prosper, right?
So again, we see that even the Aramaic translation treated Isaiah 52:13 as a messianic prophecy about a suffering Messiah that would only later be exalted.
Yeah, and if I'm not wrong, I think that the New Testament uses or refers almost 7 times the chapter 53 of Isaiah, and it says that this is about Jesus, right? About Yeshua.
So the New Testament definitely quotes Isaiah 52 and Isaiah 53, referring to the Messiah as the suffering servant. But I want to give you a second example. We said three main examples. So the second example is directly from the Talmud, an example who uses Isaiah 53 to refer to the Messiah. So can you please tell us, what does Tractate Sanhedrin, and it's Sanhedrin 98, page 2 or page B, what do they say about the Messiah?
Yeah, they ask her the name of the Messiah, what the name of the Messiah will be. And one of the rabbis says here that the name will be the Leper. Why? Because in Isaiah chapter 53, and they refer to that here, verse 4, it says, however, it was our sickness that he himself bore. And they say, because of this, his name will be the Leper.
Yes, so this tractate deals with a few names that the Messiah is given, a few names. And one of the names, as you said, one of the names of the Messiah, according to the Talmud, is the leopard. And why? Because they're saying and they're quoting Isaiah 53 verse 4. Why? Because he bore our leprosy or our sin on himself, and that's why the Messiah is called the leopard.
Wow. So if so, the rabbinic traditions, right, the oral law, knows that the Messiah, the righteous Messiah, mission is to suffer for his nation, for the nation of Israel, and to cover their sins, right? To atone for their sins.
Yes, exactly. And I want to give you now the third and maybe the strongest example. And this is, again, from the Kabbalah, from the Jewish rabbinic mysticism, the book of the Zohar. And there I want you to not read because it's Hebrew, but tell us, what does it say? How does God fix the world? How does God give healing to a sick world that is sick by the sin, by the problem of sin? How does God heal the world?
Yeah, so they say here that the words need healing, right? A healing process. And it says here that the only one that can do it is the righteous one. And the righteous one is the Messiah.
Yeah. It says, actually, they quote language from Isaiah 53, and they're saying sometimes when God wants to heal the world, he chooses one righteous person and he afflicts him. He afflicts this righteous person, and they use the language of Isaiah 53. He afflicts one righteous person to atone for the sickness or the sin of the whole world.
Wow, are you sure it's not from the New Testament?
No, this is the Zohar. This is the most famous book of the Kabbalah, Rabbinic mysticism. But it gets even better, Oren, because I want you to read a different section, but a little bit similar section from the Zohar that talks about the same thing with maybe different words, and again quoting from Isaiah 53.
Yeah, so I see here that they quote from Isaiah 53, verses 4 and 5, and I'll read them again. However, it was our sickness that he himself bore, and our pains that he carried. Yet we ourselves assumed that he had been afflicted, struck down by God, and humiliated. But he was pierced for our offenses, he was crushed for our wrongdoings. The punishment for our well-being was laid upon him, and by his wounds we're healed. And they say here that all the sickness in the world, all the sins went on the Messiah, right?
Exactly. They say that there's a chamber in heaven, and this chamber is called the chamber of the sick, the chamber of the diseases. And the Messiah goes into that chamber, and he takes all the diseases of the world, all the sickness of the world, the sin of the world upon himself. And they're saying, how do we know this is true? And they're quoting Isaiah 53, the verses that you read, verses 4 and 5, say, this is what the Messiah does, according to Isaiah 53.
Wow. But if it's that clear, if we can see it from the Old Testament, not only in the New Testament, we see that in the Old Testament and in the Rabbinic literature, how is it possible that they can see that Jesus was the one that fulfilled all these prophecies?
Yeah, you're saying if it's so clear, even in Rabbinic literature, how come they don't see Yeshua through it?
Exactly.
And the surprise, you might be surprised, but there's a Rabbinic Midrash, a Rabbinic commentary that says that if the Messiah, if the true Messiah comes and we are sinful, then there should be doubt. We will doubt him because he's the true Messiah. And I want you to paraphrase what it says in Midrash, a Rabbinic Midrash that it's called Otzrot Acharit Hayamim. This is the name of the Midrash. Otzrot, the treasures of the last days, if I translate. And what does it say there? Why are there many? Why should there be doubts in the true Messiah?
Yeah, so he says there that when the Messiah, son of David, will come, he will go through sort of a review, right? Something that they will check him.
They will check him and they will not believe him. Yeah, they will doubt his trueness.
And he says there that as the false messiahs were not only rejected but also reviewed by the nation of Israel,
so much more
the true Messiah will be reviewed.
Yeah, so if we see that there's doubts over Yeshua, that people are doubting is he the Messiah, it doesn't reflect Yeshua. It reflects our situation. This Midrash is saying the Messiah will be doubted. There will be doubts. There will be question about him, not because of him. He's the true Messiah, but because of us, because we are in sin. So actually it says something about our condition. Our condition is sinful, and this is why we doubt we doubt his messiahship.
Wow, I'm shocked when I read all these things, all these passages. And how is it that no one never comments on that or saying something about these passages?
Yeah, this is truly amazing. This is why we want to bring it to the surface, bring these quotes so everybody can see how Jewish the New Testament is, and how rabbinic literature is just reinforcing what the New Testament said all along. And the next time I want to tell you of the things that happened in the temple when Yeshua was crucified. I want to show you what the rabbinic literature says about what happened exactly on the year 30 when Yeshua was crucified.
But that will be